What's up, guys? It's your boy Zion, and I'm bringing you another Destiny video. In this one, we're going to be taking a look, or I shouldn't say taking a look, because unfortunately I lost all the footage to my runs of the hard mode raid. I have one more, so I can try to go ahead and show you once I go ahead and do my last hard mode raid. But I wanted to go ahead and go over my first impressions and advice for people who hadn't gone ahead and run it. In the background, I'm basically just showing a Nightfall run through, or at least a portion of it, while we go ahead and talk about this, because I feel kind of like people went in very, very, very unprepared. I can say this from experience. So the first raid I ran, I went in with a group I knew very well. We knew the callouts, we knew all the encounters to a T, and it was something where we learned all the new mechanics for the hard mode, and they weren't that bad. It was something where we were kind of shocked at how almost easy the raid was, how it wasn't too much different from the normal raid up until Oryx. Once you hit Oryx, it's a huge gear check. So all the encounters are almost the same. There's one or two new mechanics in each that really go ahead and throw you for a curve when you first experience them, but they're not too hard to understand once you have actually seen them a few times. So once you see them once or twice, you adjust really quickly, especially since they're not terrible penalties or terrible changes. They're things that aren't too bad. For example, Golgoroth is a debuff where you lose one person for DPS. Things like that, where you can go ahead and go through and learn and adjust very quickly, because if you knew the encounters previously, you know exactly what changed, and you can learn and adapt very, very quickly. The problem is you get gear checked at Oryx very fast. The big change is Oryx now has 5 vessels, basically. There's 4 red bar knights called Light Eater Knights, and they go ahead and destroy the blights or bubbles that you use to damage Oryx. Without those bubbles, you don't hurt Oryx at all. Plus, there's the regular vessel, and there's 4 ogres. If you don't have good gear, or you don't have high enough light or anything that would bring your damage down, it's damn near impossible. You have to have perfect runs almost. There's no room for error, anything, and it becomes, you get gear checked because you don't do enough damage initially. So in the first raid I ran, we could go ahead and we could kill ogres, we could stun Oryx, we just couldn't get all of the knights. So it became, okay, do we do this where we just do 3 bubbles and hope we don't hit enrage? How do we do it? So we decided to go ahead and run raids on all of our characters. I think that's the best course of action. The best way to look at this when you go in is understand you probably won't finish unless you have top tier gear, unless you get really lucky with your drops during your raid, and unless you go ahead and can somehow pull your light high enough. We were getting drops that were 320s, 318s. We had a few disappointing 300s and 310s. However, it was something where we just couldn't get our light high enough to actually have everyone be able to be useful or get the most damage they could into everything and be able to carry over and be successful in the raid. It's something where if you run your 3 characters, if you have 3 characters, I recommend running them all and understand that you may or may not finish Oryx once this week. It's something where I've run 2 characters through, I've consolidated my gear, and I can get my Titan, who I started at about 305, I can get my Titan to 309 light. So I've gone up 4 light by running the raid twice. I still have to run my Warlock, and hopefully I can get my Titan up to 310 and finish Oryx, and that's the best advice I can give you. Understand you probably won't finish it, and you should probably run it multiple times in which you get drops just to be prepared for next week. Because it's taking me now 3 raids to get gear that'll make it so I can finish a single raid. Not to take into account that I didn't get too many like actual gear drops. I got a chest and a cloak on my hunter, and that was about it. I raised my like 2 levels through the whole raid. So it's things where the drops are a little, they're not guaranteed, and what you get could be a god awful roll depending on your RNG, and you might get a 310 instead of a 320, which really doesn't help you out too much. But it's something where the best advice I can give is go into it with a group of friends, have fun, because the raid up until Oryx is not that hard. The mechanics are basically all the same. They just added in a few little twists here and there, such as the War Priest does take-in attacks for each pillar. So if you find a rotation or you find an order that your team can work with, he's not that bad. It becomes the same thing, the same buffs, the same timers, everything is the same. He doesn't seem to have more health. We were able to 2-cycle him, I believe, so I don't think he has more health. Golgoroth has more health. I believe he's somewhere in the range of 25 million in health, but the only change to Golgoroth besides giving him more health was they made it so you can't revive, obviously, because it's a hard raid, and you basically get unstable light, which is a debuff in which if you stay in the pool of reclaimed light, the pool that lets you do damage, you will kill everyone in the pool except for you. So you essentially would eliminate 5 players altogether, or actually 4 players, I'm sorry. You would eliminate 4 players altogether and be left with 2 people to finish the encounter. If you go ahead and you leave the pool of light, you still have the debuff, and after 5 seconds you still explode, but you don't die. And anyone who is in the vicinity, anyone who's close to you, will die instantly. And it becomes something where it's almost wipe-worthy if you lose a person or 2 during Golgoroth, because he has extra health. He's a son of a bitch. However, he's still very, very doable. It's still one of the hardest parts of the raid right before Oryx. And then the sisters, the only change I believe was there was more ads. That's about it. I didn't notice that they had extra health. I still don't like the we did it, but I didn't enjoy the strategy of kill the first witch on the first rotation, or the first daughter on the first rotation, and then kill the second. It is probably safer to do everything you can to be safe, and you'll get to Oryx, you'll get drops. The one thing I did notice is the chest despawned on my first raid, so there were people who didn't get their drops or didn't get anything from the daughter's chest after we beat them, and the only thing I could try to attribute that to is that they were dead. I know on my second raid I ended up dying right at the end and still managed to get my drop. So I don't know whether it was just a fluke, a glitch, or whatever, but I know there have been people who haven't gotten drops, as in they didn't get moldering shards, they didn't get worm spore, they didn't get engrams, they didn't get class items, anything whatsoever from the daughter's chest. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was a little educational. I know it's kind of a long video of me just like rambling, but it's hard to go ahead and consolidate how you experience something. It's one of those things where I thought it was pretty easy up until Oryx. You guys might struggle through it if you're not used to the raid. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like, a comment, a favorite, and subscribe. All you guys' support means the world to me, and I can't wait to see what you guys think. If you guys have run it, let me know down in the comment section below. Is there anything you think I left out of this video? I'll probably go ahead and make a video later on going over the exact mechanics of the hard mode raid and like ways you can make things easier. But for right now, I'm just going to give my impressions and what I thought. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.